believe very quickly, the man himself, calling in right now, brother Kevin Sullivan. Is she, man?
Hey, it is me, man. And I heard you talk about Sinclair. I read that too.
Yes.
I read it too. And they bought, I live out in the islands up here, and they bought the big station in Seattle. And last 3 or 4 months, they've procured Seattle, New Orleans, Knoxville, Mobile, and a couple others on the Gulf Coast of Florida. I mean, do you know much about Sinclair? Do you know much about their philosophy?
No, sir. We met the executives before, and we know the parent company of Ring of Honor, but we don't know anymore.
The company itself, Sinclair, is to the right of Fox News. It's very, very conservative. And they're in competition with Rupert Murdoch, who owns Fox News. So I think it will help because I couldn't get the Ring of Honor until they bought that station up here. So I think you brought up a good point with all these stations they're coming with, and they have great, great talent. I mean, Jay Lethal and the Briscoes, Bobby Fish, Cole. I mean, they get some wonderful, wonderful talent. And I think it's going to be good for the business. And I think right now the business is ready to go. I was in San Francisco Saturday night, and they had an $80,000 house. I work in L.A. once a month, and this was at the Cow Palace. This wasn't at, Cow Palace is the Madison Square Garden of the West Coast. It's probably the second most famous arena in the United States. But I also work in L.A. for Pacific Coast Wrestling. Joey Khabib and Mike are the owners. They did a $71,000 house, no TV. They're a month out. Their main event is Johnny Mundo or John Morrison, against RVD. They've already sold out, and the tickets the tickets are 100, 75, 50, 40, and 25. The next show in July, they haven't even announced, and they sold 31 ringside tickets. So I see independent wrestling on a roll. So I hope that helps Sinclair. What do you guys think about it? Do you think it will?
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah, we all do. It's Sinclair Broadcasting, of course, more networks, 33 new markets. That's more exposure for Ring of Honor, more exposure for Sinclair.
Well, let me ask you this. I heard what you said, but they can't get Sinclair to put them on, we'll say if they pick 20 markets in the United States, right?
Right.
They can't get them to put it on at the same time. It's on at different times at every station. How does that help you? You see what I'm saying?
That's a good point. You're right.
You can't. I mean, if I'm I'm a big baseball fan or Red Sox fan. Well, I know every night game is 4 o'clock or 4:05 my time at night, right? And I know every day game's 11. With them, if you lived in, we'll say, Mobile, and the show's on at 1 o'clock on Friday mornings, and then you come to Seattle and it's on Thursday nights at 7, that's kind of hard to promote. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right.
To me, I think you need to be on the same time. It's like you guys are big football fans. You know what time the football games are inside. So we know it's Sunday at a special time. They kind of seem to take this wrestling as a small blip for their company. That's my opinion because, they just hired Cody Rhodes, and they got some great young talent there.
Yeah, they do. They definitely did.
Yeah.
Who would you say in Ring of Honor right now, Kevin, catches your eye the most? Who would you say is your favorite in Ring of Honor at the moment?
Well, it's kind of hard because they're all good, but Jay Lethal, to me, is one of the greatest performers I've ever seen. Now, the Briscoes are one of the best tag team I've ever seen. I didn't have the pleasure of seeing live a Briscoe-Lethal match. I'm sure that would be an incredible thing to watch, you know what I mean? They give the people what they want, that's for sure. And Lethal can work both ways. And so can't Briscoe. So they get a good deal, but they've been in the same. Let me ask you this. Do you think they've gained more fans in the last 5 years, or have they lost some fans to NXT?
Me personally, I honestly think that they lost some fans in NXT. What do you think, Eric Salty?
Well, I think they lost some fans, but they trying to gain them back, trying to bring more of the younger guys in the company. So I think the guys slowly progress to get it back.
Well, how are their ratings? Their ratings have flatlined for 5 years that I see.
Yeah.
That means nobody's watching any more or less. So that is not, and I think that has something to do with them not being on at the same time. So if you and I were talking, I can't say, hey, you're going to watch Ring of Honor tonight because we're on different nights. You know what I mean? And you may call me and say, how did it do? And I say, oh, I should have put on TiVo, and I didn't, and I didn't see it. Until they get it on at the same time, they're going to have a hard road to go, especially with the talent they have. They should be able to really draw well. So I think I blame this on not the wrestling office, but the suits not helping the product along. You know what I'm saying? I'm blaming Sinclair Broadcasting for not helping the suits along. So, I mean, like I said, I was in San Francisco at the Cow Palace, 3,000 people, and they had some great talent there. And then, like, the second I'm in L.A., and he's going to sell out and turn people away. And both of them advertise well. And that's the other thing. I don't think Sinclair has an advertising budget. Do you ever see anything on Raw about them, like coming into an area by you guys?
No.
All we see when they promoted when the show was running on the on 54 or 45 or like 24, we were like, okay, when they coming? Oh, they coming because the advertising be on the show running while the show is running.
Yeah, there are local shows out here that I see people even buy ads on Raw. You advertise to your TV market. That's why I was a little late getting on the phone. I was dealing with a friend of mine in a business proposal that he had. And, you go in business, the number one business rule is if you're going to sell bananas, you go to a fruit market that sells bananas. You know what I mean? You got to be where people are interested in what you got. You don't go to open up a fruit stand when there's no fruit stands around. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Like car dealerships.
True.
When you go to get a car dealerships in most cities, there's 10 to 12 car dealerships side by side.
Mm-hmm.
So
and he also
why wouldn't they advertise on Raw? Why wouldn't they advertise on Raw? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good question.
They got enough money. I'm sure they got enough money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got people that are watching wrestling that will say, again, let's take Mobile, and it comes on see Ring of Honor Wrestling in Mobile Coliseum Tuesday night, blah, blah, blah. Well, maybe I didn't even know that Ring of Honor was on the local station. Maybe I don't even watch that local station. Maybe I do, but I didn't know what time they were on. So I see that they have some of the best talent in the world, guys, but it just doesn't seem like that the company, meaning Sinclair itself, is backing them to make them grow.
Yeah, the marketing is pretty weird. It's like they should be running it like when wrestling shows, when TNA's on, when WWE's on, they should be like jam packed with promotion, and I don't even see that. That's really weird. You got a great point of that. Great point.
Yeah. So
I actually do see them promote. Well, not promote, but they do run the Ring of Honor through Facebook. I see it sometimes like that.
Here's the thing. Do you think everybody is this much of a wrestling fan that they look at Facebooks? I mean, I understand it's a new day, a new era, and that's how you do promote. But I think you're going to hit more wrestling fans by buying 2 ads on Raw and an ad on SmackDown than you are on Facebook. There are a lot of people that come home from a construction job that aren't going to jump on their Facebook, or if they do, they're just checking their own for their friends. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know, but that's a good point.
Yeah, I'm hooked up to all of the wrestling community on Facebook, so that's how I know.
Yeah, but do you think that most of the people that come to a wrestling match, and I'm asking this as a question because I don't know, do you think most of the people that come to a wrestling match are hooked up on all the social media about wrestling?
No, not at all, because most of the people wonder who these guys are, and they don't have any promotional work with them. Like people, for instance, let's say Cody Rhodes. People want to know who Cody Rhodes is. Like, they should have some kind of profile or some kind of promotional thing on TV to know who is this guy. So that's pretty weird to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure the people in San Francisco, they had a lot of great young talent there. They had a mixture of guys that were for TNA. Cody's now on Ring of Honor. Pat Patterson was there. The Almighty Sheik was there. And I talked to the promoter, and they bought time on Raw and SmackDown, just like the Joe Cabibo and Mike in Pacific Coast Wrestling. They buy time. And they get the people in there, and they get a vested interest. I'm sure they got a great website. They got a great social media presence. They're on Amazon. But I don't think, and Evan, I think you're right, I don't think most people are hooked up to all the social media for wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I just don't think... so let's hope they get this together, and I really want to see these guys make it.
Likewise, me too.
Well, Kevin, you're not even on social media at all, brother. Can't nobody find you.
Because I'm so far in the woods, guys. I'm lucky I got a pigeon that knows how to fly to the next island.
Either we gotta. Might be in them old castles, the Dungeon and Dean, them vignettes. Man, to go to the White Castle Fair to find you. Go there to find you. Real quick to ask you some other questions, because I know you are short on time. I got Toph with me, my correspondent. What's up, Toph?
Hey guys.
Just real quick, Kevin. The year 1994 and 1995 has been debated as 2 of the worst years in the business. I say 94, and Toph says 95. And you were in WCW around that time. Hogan came in, and yet, the Alliance in Hulkamania, and 94 was Brutus and Hogan, and Ric Flair's dressing in drag, and Hogan's fighting Vader. Tell us, out of the 2 years, what year did you feel was the worst, or you feel was the most difficult to book? Was it 94 or 95?
Well, I didn't take over until right when Nitro happened.
Okay.
And Nitro happened in 95, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, I wasn't involved in that original stuff. That was Flair. But, I mean, we kind of know that Hogan coming over had been played out, you know. He had been, you know, he was trying to keep on going with say your prayers and take your vitamins routine, and that had gotten old, you know what I mean? And, you know, Rick had been champion numerous times. What they needed was some young blood like they got, meaning Brian Pillman and Steve Austin, and they didn't use them right. So I think that was probably it's a toss-up which year was worse. I don't think you could say one was better than the other. That's for sure. We're trying to debate which was worse. I don't know. They were pretty horrible.
Now, if you can talk to us, how did you feel going into the Uncensored 95, I believe, the Alliance and Hulkamania? You had, what was the Final Solution, and you had the Zeus, you had the Three Cages, and Hogan and Savage. What was your mindsets on that? I know a lot of people laughed at that match. They're like, what the hell is this?
Oh, I hated it. But it was, you got to realize, people don't understand. You can take things out of context and don't understand why you got there. Hogan was really insecure to work with people he had never worked with. So he was a comic book character, right? I mean, look at the guys he wrestled. Kamala, and this is no disrespect to anybody. Kamala, King Kong. I mean, we'll go down the line of guys he worked with. They were kind of that over-the-top characters, right? I mean, IRS, $1 Million Man, Virgil. I mean, they built. He was comfortable working with his guys, where they would get heat on him, and he would muscle up and do the Hulk thing. To have Zeus in the main event, you know, was the second time, because if you remember, one of the pay-per-views that they had in the WWE was the movie that Zeus and Hulk did. What was the name of that movie? I forget.
No Holds Barred.
Do you know which one? What?
Yeah, No Holds Barred.
Yeah, No Holds Barred. And then after that, you had one match on the pay-per-view. It was Zeus and Hogan. So he was used to working with guys that he was comfortable with. And I think he was insecure because I think he really knew that his stick of being say your prayers, take your vitamins, all-American boy was out the window. So it would have been hard for him to work with a Steve Austin type character, whether, and I'm not talking about Steve Austin being the Stone Cold Steve Austin who drew all that money. I'm talking about stunning Steve Austin who didn't get a chance because he could have drawn a lot of money with Hogan, but Hogan wasn't going to wrestle a guy that he wasn't comfortable with.
Right.
So, you know, so there we are.
Man, you said
guys, I just wanted to tell you, too, that, like, I mentioned San Francisco now, and then there's Conan's running Crash in Tijuana, so Tijuana, San Diego area. So this whole West Coast, and now Johnny Mundo's up here this week in downtown Seattle, and he has a movie coming out. So there's a lot of things happening, and like I said, he'll be at Pacific Coast Wrestling on June 2nd. So if you don't mind standing up, come on down. So, guys,
Amen.
It was always a pleasure to be with you, and hopefully we'll do this again.
Oh, yeah, brother. You know, I'll give you a call soon in the next 2 weeks and have you back on.
Thank you, baby.
All right.
Good night, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Everybody, that was the man himself, the Taskmaster, the Games Master, Kevin Sullivan, the I Respect You Booker man, if you remember that from.
Yes.
What pay-per-view was that, Toph? Was that uncensored or when he fought Pillman?
I thought
Anybody
it was a random episode. I thought it was a random episode of Nitro. That's what I thought.
No, it was a pay-per-view. Slamboree. I had it on VHS tape. It was one of them. DR, do you know?
Nope, I don't know. I don't know which one it was.
I'll look it up. But I only know it was a pay-per-view because I remember having this VHS tape. Kids, if you don't know what VHS tapes are, please Google it. And he was on there. So give me real quick. Go ahead and take over for me. Talk about why 95 was so bad.